2014 Dodge Ram 3500. The vehicle at 30 mile an hour had a pretty noticeable shake to it. And once you got over 35, 40, shake went away. Put it up on a lift and found the U-joint is going out. And also the U-joint cap is cracked out. And she is completely toast. So I'll be showing you guys how to remove this and replace that U-joint. Very first thing I like to do is take a paint pen or a marker and mark everything so you know exactly how it all goes back together. So you get your driveline angles the exact same. I like to put quite a few marks just in case one wipes off. And also one on the case here. You go back together, it is exactly the same way it came apart. Okay, we're going to start by taking these 4 bolts out. It'll be a 15 millimeter. I like to leave one bolt in here just to kind of hold it on there for now, just kind of lightly screwed in there. Because next you're going to take the carrier bearing bolts out, which will be this bolt here and here, and this will drop down. And with having that one bolt in there, this ain't going to fall down because you're taking out this whole unit. And once you take these 2 bolts out, this will drop down, and then we're going to slide it out of the rear transfer case here. All the way. There we go. Once you get it out, it'll look something like this. Also a good time to check your carrier bearing as well. Pick out the clips in here. And do that on all 4 sides. So I'm going to kind of do this how anybody could do this without very many special tools. So I'm just going to use a vise. Most people should have a vise if you're going to be doing any jobs like this. You want to have some sort of socket. You want it to be larger than the U-joint cap, so the U-joint cap can be pushed through. And then you can use a socket on the other side that's smaller for it to allow to push the U-joint cap through. So this will be on one side, and then I'm gonna have this on the other side underneath, and I'm gonna use my vise to basically squeeze and push the U-joint through. I want this one to be larger than the cap, and this one to be pushing on the cap, and that way the whole U-joint can be pushed all the way through. Make sure when you're tightening this, it does not get caught on this piece. You want to make sure it can go all the way through, and that's larger. So I'm just going to keep tightening. Sometimes you got to hammer on it, wiggle it. A lot of times I have to take an air hammer, and I'll air hammer on the U-joint cap right here, and that will help it jar enough, because these get rusted in there pretty bad. And sometimes you got to use heat, just kind of whatever you can do to get it to push all the way through. Get yourself some penetrating oil, move everything up. So I got some good pressure on there, and you're just gonna lightly tap around. There she goes. Now we're starting to get some movement. So once you get to this point, you've pushed that U-joint and cap all the way in. and through. You can loosen everything up, and then we're going to pull this cap out, and then hopefully this U-joint will come in, and then we'll just pull everything out. Take a pair of channel locks or vice grips or anything that you can get a hold of this and just wiggle it until it pops out of there. So if you wiggle it and you can't get it to come out, another trick is to hold it like this and then hit on a hammer here on these two ears here, and it'll push it back through, and then you'll be able to pull it right out. So after hammering here and here, it just comes right out. And the exact same thing we did on this one as we are going to do on this one, and then we'll take this all off. So alright, once you get to this point, I like to get some emery cloth, which is basically some rough sandpaper. I like to really clean up the inside of these bores, especially because if you nick it or anything, you want it super smooth, so when you put the new caps in, they don't get bound up. You can just press them right in, so just get it super clean. Make sure there's no nicks or burrs or any damage throughout this whole surface here. And you're gonna do that on all 4 of these. Once you have everything cleaned up, you can put your one cap in on this side and then take all the caps off your U-joint. You're gonna put it in this side first. So you're gonna use a C-clamp and you're just gonna slowly wiggle it on. Just make sure it doesn't get bound up. Just keep wiggling it back and forth. See one of those, so you don't bound up on the needle bearing. And since this side's going in first, I'm gonna get it all the way just right past the groove so we can put the snap ring in there, and then we'll press this side in. Take the new snap ring, never use the old ones, always use the new ones. I'm just gonna squeeze it and put it in. Make sure it snaps in. So this part's very important. Remember how we marked with the paint pen? We got to make sure that you mark this with that, and that way it's going back the exact same direction and we get the same driveline angles. Now we're just going to do the exact same thing we did to this one as to this side. Got the finished U-joint in. Now we're going to take the whole assembly and put it back into the pickup. It's a 2-man job getting it back up, but basically you want to match up your marks there. Put these 2 bolts back in. Make sure your marks are they should be still good. And then blue Loctite on these 4 bolts. And tighten them pretty dang tight. I don't know the spec, but they're pretty tight. And that's it.